Welcome, everyone. Good evening. It is so good to see you. I am so glad to have you here. Welcome to the after party for the Cultists Season 2, Episode 7. We have with us, as always, the director of the show, Brianna De Silva. She's also the co-writer. I'm the producer, creator, co-writer. I also played Steve. But let me tell you, we have an extra special guest tonight. We have Tom Robinson, or do you want to go by Thomas?
Tom's fine.
Tom's fine. All right, Tom Robinson, he plays Dad. So Dad is with us here. It is so good. We may even go back and talk about some of the scenes so that he can give some commentary for us. We will see how this goes, but I'm so glad to have you here, Tom. It is so fantastic. We've got people coming in. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's see who we've got here. Jason says, great show as always. We have got, let's see, who else do we have here? I'm looking through the chat right here. Heather, wonderful. Good evening. Says good evening. Great to see you. And then Austin Carter is also here. Says good evening. Access Your Inner Light was here. She is someplace here. And yeah, so
as
great
usual.
show. Right. Yes, it's so good to see everyone again. It is really great to have everyone here. How are your days going, Brianna and Tom?
You answer, Tom.
Just busy.
Yeah.
It's a busy time of the year for me with my real job, my day job. And the last, this year has been pretty busy with live theater, and I'm just busy.
Yeah.
All right. Well, busy too. My day has just been crazy. I have been doing nothing but work. I didn't even get to creative time today. But let's talk about what we're giving away tonight, shall we? Listen to what I got over here. Oh, you might notice I got some different kind of setup. I've got
I was about to butt in to comment on that. I love the look.
Okay. Well, thank you, because I got kind of an intermediary setup, because I got different setups here for the morning grind, which we're going to talk about, which is the live stream. If you haven't been watching the live stream, I've been going live at 9:30 every morning for the last 20 days. And then I've also been going live in the evening for the wind down. So I've been trying to get different looks here. And so I've got the bright early morning. I've got the look for the evening here for the wind down. But I needed something intermediary here, which, Brianna's just like killing it always on the look of the lighting and stuff like that.
I always have good atmospheres.
So I work. So this is now
one of my necessities in life.
Well, no, it is so important. It's so important for what you're doing. So this is now, I think this is my intermediate look. This is the intermediate. This is the evening, but before the night for the wind down, right? Trey, Trey's here. Trey, fantastic. Good to see you. Good evening. Sorry to come late. I'm watching at 2x to catch up. Oh, well, take your time. Take your time. Take your time. Don't rush.
I wonder what we sound like at twice the speed.
Oh, we got a question for Tom.
Yeah, I was going to say, we got to open things up for questions. But someone already jumped in. Good job.
Right. Left spin. If you got questions for us, let us know. Of course, we're going to dive into the analysis of the episodes as well here. But Left spin says, Thomas Robinson, did the discussion about branding friends when you were young remind you of your own misspent youth?
A little. Yeah. We never really branded anybody. We just, homemade tattoo machines, things like that. But
oh my.
We didn't go so far.
Well, that sounds like a story.
That still sounds pretty bad, not gonna lie.
Good question, though. Good question.
There was another question for you there before we move on. Yeah.
Okay. So what does my t-shirt say? My t-shirt says, "Thank you, Mama Shub." Now, Brianna, you designed this t-shirt.
Yep, that's one of my makings.
Okay, so now here's the issue. We had this t-shirt here. Brianna has designed several t-shirt designs for us, and we had some of them printed, but there was disaster in the printing. So maybe one time on the wind down, we'll do the wind down after this on the same stream, but after we go here, that would be a good thing. If you want to talk about disaster stories for trying to do product creation, I can give you some fantastic disaster stories. One of them would be the t-shirts. I would really love to be able to get the t-shirts back in action. But I'm wearing the Thank You Mama Shove designed by Brianna, who is an expert and professional graphic designer in addition to being a director. So she's designed a lot of our stuff.
Yeah, those are portfolio pieces for me.
Yeah.
They're in my portfolio now. Yeah.
So I really need to get them back in action. The manufacturing
Oh, cool.
Ask me about that later.
I have the Cultist coffee T-shirt.
You got the Cultist coffee T-shirt?
I didn't make those ones. Those ones are his making. But
yeah, but I
thank
well,
you.
Jason says I've got the Black Go to the Woods T-shirt, and I love it. Yes. Oh, and Left Spin also has a Black Goat
nice.
T-shirt too. So there are people out who have stayed with us, and I think that's amazing.
They're wearing my art. Oh.
There were some of them that went out. Yeah, there were some of them went out that Brianna designed those, but there was just, like I said, ask me about it later. I would love to be able to put them back into action for people who want them though, like that. So we said Left Spin.
That's good. I don't have to then.
I have solving it. And then Left Spin says it's a great D&D shirt. Yes, absolutely. Oh, well, we got Access Your Light says, Brianna, do you take commissions for custom artwork or do you have a full slate at the moment?
I do. I freelance. Let me get a link here.
Get us a link.
You can send. Wait, how do I? I'm going to send you a link and then you can send it publicly, Keith. I have my portfolio is public and there's a way to contact me. So yeah.
So that link right there.
Yep, that'll give you the info you need. Let me double check that's correct. There should be a way to contact me on there. Does it? Well, wait, hold on. Let me just make sure. It should. Yeah. There should be a way to contact me on there.
Okay, so I can send that out.
Yes.
All right, I'm going then. There you go. If you want to get in touch with Brianna, there is her public portfolio.
If not, it has links there to my social media, so you can contact me somewhere else. But I think it's on there. I don't know. Whatever.
So shall we go ahead and go into this episode then?
Why not?
I think so. All right, everybody, let's do our commentary on season 2, episode 7.
What about that boy, Rob?
So what we do here is we just talk about it. I mean, you've probably seen Tom, but you can call out any time for us to stop. And if you've got questions in the comments or anything like that, if you're watching, put them in the chat. We'll bring them up and we'll also discuss them. So
yeah, especially for Tom. If you guys have any questions about his experience or anything.
Especially for Tom. We may need to go back and grab some of Tom's scenes.
This is probably my biggest episode. This was the episode I really, when I got the script, that I was looking forward to filming. Yeah.
Did you hear about that boy, Rob?
Yeah, I did.
They still haven't found him. Do you want to hear the...
Well, I will say in here that, remember, we didn't have a telephone voice when we were filming this. I remember
she was reacting to Heath off screen saying,
well, right. I was saying I was like hidden down someplace and I was feeding the lines of what was supposed to be on the telephone, but we didn't have the telephone like voice.
Right.
So that was cut together afterwards.
That was done afterwards. I want to say I even cast her afterwards, the friend. And because she is Glenn's close friend, and that was the connection there. But also I think I want to say she had auditioned for season 1 for something, so that's why she was on my radar. Yeah, she had. I can't remember what she auditioned for, but yeah. Anyway, and so I reached out. That's how it was. I reached out to some people that had auditioned before that I liked. And she ended up doing it, and basically they recorded several different takes of that and then just sent it to me. And then I chose one. I don't think I had any further direction for them. I don't remember, but
yeah, they sent you several different options in, and we just cut the ones. Or
I think it was ended up
which one.
Yeah, actually, ended up kind of cutting from a little bit from both takes because you can do that. But yeah, so that's how that happened.
And that got rid of me like laying on the kitchen floor feeding lines or something or whatever was actually going on.
Right.
Worst part?
What's that?
He had a full scholarship to study chemical engineering. His mom found the letter in the trash can in his room the day he jumped.
Rob?
Now, there are multiple things here that, Mom being a very straight character, and, Rob is gone, having left in this, left into the lake or whatever and is now gone. And that, what the worst part is? Not that, the kid is gone, but that wait, there's an unused scholarship that was out there.
It's pretty messed up.
So that is a bit of humor on Mom's part, even though Mom is generally straight. And of course, she plays it straight right here. But, is that really the worst part of what just happened to Rob?
Rob had a scholarship for chemical engineering?
Yeah.
This is so terrible. It's these kids getting involved in all.
And that's character backstory for Rob you might not have known.
Right, because that was something we were talking about, that he's delusional, but he's still intelligent. Yeah. He's not dumb.
And Trey
But you
says,
see that in other situations too.
Right, yeah. And Trey says, this episode reminds me of conversations with my mom around playing D&D in the 80s. And exactly, I mean, we tried to bring the the satanic panic. We played with that in multiple ways in the season. Obviously, Mom to the cultists manifests it most directly, but there are other ways that it's meta layered onto the episode as well.
This stuff causes them to go crazy.
First they start playing Monopoly, and then they move on to Dungeons and Dragons, and the next thing you know, they're worshiping demons and drowning themselves in lakes.
I burned our copy of Monopoly just the other day, so that can't even get started in my house.
Yeah, good.
Monopoly.
Monopoly.
Of the worst. Yeah, that's the gateway drug, is the most most harmless game imaginable. Although I don't know, is Monopoly harmless?
Some people, right? Left Spin says Monopoly, the great way jug.
You can get into fights on that game.
Everything starts someplace, right? But we tried to come with what's the most mundane kind of board game that you could possibly play.
Right, something that like someone that doesn't play games at all would wouldn't be able to distinguish or something.
Right, and then that's what leads to Dungeons and Dragons, and it's the Inner Light says it's those hotels, they're evil.
Oh, I'll call you back.
Ma'am, is this your son?
This was great.
That was one of my favorite shots. That's actually might be my favorite shot in the whole second
Going
season.
back right here?
Right. Just the absurdity of that. It's just the height difference between them is so profound. And just the opening up and just seeing that is, I don't know, it makes me chuckle every time.
Yeah, Megan needs to come on one of these shows and talk to us. Because Megan, see right there, Megan, you've probably seen her on Dinner and a Board Game. She's playing the police officer right here. There she is. She's also the costume designer for the whole show. She did all the costumes for the show. And then also she did Dinner and Board Game with me, and she is now married to the director of photography.
Yes, this is another one of those examples of how almost everyone that was behind the set appears on screen at some point.
And she's my cousin.
All the connections.
Right, all the connections. There we go. Oh, and evil things and the get out of jail free cards, Trey says.
Is this your son?
Yes. What happened to him?
What happened to you?
Nothing.
Your son and his gang beat up a homeless person in the park.
You're in a gang now?
No, I'm not in a gang. I'm in a cult.
And you beat...
I loved that line.
It's not a gang. It's a cult.
It's so important that he makes sure that that's clear. That like even to this authority figure.
And as if that makes it better.
Right.
Like, no, this is gonna make it much better. Not a gang. This is a cult.
He was asking me about that. He was like, what is my relationship right now to this police officer? Like, how am I interacting with her? What is the like, am I still being respectful? And yeah, it's pretty funny.
And Trey says Megan's facial expressions in this scene are great. Yeah, well, I will definitely make sure that she notices. She told me that she would come on one of those. She wasn't able to make it tonight. Tomorrow
Running out of episodes.
I know. Tomorrow is actually Brennan's birthday. So the director of photography birthday. And so they were off having a party because I invited them. So that was what's going on. Left Spin says religious freedoms.
Exactly.
And then Austin says, come on, Mom. It's not a gang. I mean, come on.
It's so much better. I mean, technically, it's not illegal to be in a cult, like Lexman
Right.
said, religious freedom.
Homeless person?
He deserved it.
Okay, now that
it says this is my happy place on there, which is so
Oh.
great because again, that was another thing that was just that house just had that, and we saw that we're like, okay, we're leaving that, we're leaving that because the irony of that is pretty great, and it seems like something that she would put, like that character would put on the door.
I think that does get a great. Okay, now I think that is a great irony here. This is my happy place. I love that. Now, Trey brings up exactly the point that was controversial to me. So Trey brought it up. So did Mom have a key for the cuffs? See, I don't remember how this was supposed to go, but I was thinking about that as this was being shot. And I was like, what did Mom do? Go ahead, Tom.
That's between Mom and Dad. Let's keep that between Mom and Dad. It's really none of your business.
That's hilarious.
I think that's the best answer to that. Yes, Mom might actually. I think that is.
That it's got to come from somewhere,
Left spin says, yeah.
Left spin says Dad sure did. No, Mom might not have the key to the cuffs, but Dad sure did. And then Inner Light says no, the police person probably released him into Mom's custody. I was thinking about that. I was like, wait a minute, because I don't remember how I had it.
I don't remember what that discussion was either. I think it might have been one of those things where we're like, it's just in the cut that you would think that no one would notice, but apparently someone did.
Yeah, the flow of the scene.
The flow of the
so
scene,
well.
exactly. That's why we didn't want to stop, and I think that was the reasoning.
Trey says, I was going to say it opened up huge doors of thought.
I love all these potential implications of this of world building and character.
Yeah, and those are important. And 7Xmas7 says this has total Curb Your Enthusiasm vibes. This is actually a great shot that I freeze framed this on with like
him
Mike
back.
looking back through the window here back to the police officer. I like that.
I cannot believe it. My son brought home handcuffed by the police. How infuriating.
We had a day that was basically just all of her little one-off shots where she's doing something to the camera. There was that, so this was one of them, but it was just like we filmed all those in one day, and then I think there was a couple scenes with her and Mike that we did that day too.
Yeah, she was not on. I mean, yeah, she wasn't on set all that long. She mentions that in her, one of her behind the scenes things.
Yeah.
Because we got a lot done. We moved fast.
Mm-hmm.
Mom, this is not a big deal.
Not a big deal? First of all, you're grounded. You're not going anywhere. Nowhere. Do you understand me?
Okay.
And you're gonna clean up that backyard like I've been telling you to for weeks.
Fine.
Next, I want that robe right now.
Mom! No!
Right now!
No way!
Next.
Oh yeah, we should comment on that.
Yeah,
so in the script, we were going to have she tackled him at that point, but we couldn't get it quite right. I guess our what would you say, our coordination skills with our stunt skills were not quite up to par, because it was supposed to be funny. It was supposed to be just like the timing of it would be like and they fall out of frame. But every time we try to do it, it was just awkward. It was like too slow, and so we were trying to use the couch, and we didn't have the right setup, I guess, to do it. So we ended up just cutting that. But yeah, that was supposed to happen.
Yeah, I remember filming a scene where Mom tackled Mike and that would explain how she got the rope, that she tackled him.
It didn't look right. It didn't look right on camera. Yeah.
Trey says all we need is the background sitcom music. Austin says it's not a phase.
Mm-hmm.
And Trey says, I like the jump take to her holding the rope. Well,
I'm
that
glad-
was our solution.
Yeah, I'm glad that it works.
Yeah, that was the second best solution. If you don't actually get to see her tackle him, then the second best solution was there's a jump cut, and you can imagine how she.
You just got to assume, you got to imagine how that happened. Because even that left some imagination where it's like, what happened next? How did that happen?
Yeah, which I think still works. I mean, it works. It
Yeah.
works. Innerlight says, I think it's technically a habit, but robe works. Well, Mike wears like a whole tunic. He's got a two-piece one, because like if you look at Dave, he's wearing a robe because it's open in the front, and actually Steve and Dave wear the same kind of robe. But Mike does wear a whole tunic that is closed in the front, and then a hood that's a separate piece. Go ahead.
I think robe is the right term. I think habit is what a nun wears.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
I think that's what I associate a habit with, is something that a nun would wear. Right. Left Spin asks, did that rental house come with all the booze?
If it did, it was gone before I got there.
Or do you mean the Left Spin? Do you mean the alcohol you see in the background, or do you mean what she's drinking? Because if it's the former, yes, that was just part of what they had at their house. And then of course we brought wine for her to drink. She did have some of it too. She's like, and we get to give mom more wine. She's like, yes. But yeah,
what's being drunk was stuff that I brought on set, and so she had real wine to drink. But yeah, there was stuff around the house. But what was being drunk was stuff that I had brought. Cthulhu Bob Lovely says too small a place to tackle and too cluttered. That was one of the issues with like the whole movement stuff. Yeah,
and I mean, if we knew how to coordinate that better, it could have been done. But I think
she was tackling him onto the couch.
Right. So we should have had like something else instead of the couch. Like we should have had something that we brought, some sort of pad for them to fall on, and then we would have moved the stuff out of the way for that shot probably. And it was also like he was nervous too, so that always slowed it down. So anyway, it was just one of those things where it's like, we didn't pull it off.
But Trey says, and she's got the robe, and she's still holding the wine glass.
I think she wasn't holding it in the previous scene, though. So was she? I don't think so. So then that would imply that she picked it up again.
I don't think she was, because I would think that would be a bigger issue trying to coordinate that.
Right. Oh, yeah. And also it changes the tone of that scene. This is like almost like her victory goblet.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. Jason says, I imagine Benny Hill music as she chases him down. And then, Left Spin has actually already looked at it. Yeah, it's in the background on the stand. I think that was so she had it with her, but it wasn't in her hand. So that's right. So she had put it down. That way we didn't have to deal with putting it down in order to tackle them. Right. Yeah. And Cthulhu Bob Lovely confirms what you were saying, Tom. Yeah, habit applies only to nuns. Heather, welcome. It's so much better that it cuts to her holding it. All right. Well, I'm glad that works then. It's so
sometimes being limited makes you more creative. So
yeah, you get the imagination here, right? He is so defiant, and you think he will keep it until you see her holding the robe. Great point. Thank you.
I'm gonna get every single candle out of this house.
Oh, great Nyarlathotep, I worship you.
I loved doing the scene with Mallory. This was
scene.
Fantastic. This was a great scene. Cthulhu Bob Lovely says, woohoo, I'm a Discordian. Okay, wonderful. Nice. I'm so glad you're in the Discord channel now. Tom, you should get Discord and come in. I'll put you in.
I'll get it set up this weekend, hopefully.
Nice.
Let's just put me in.
But I loved, this. Go ahead.
No. I was just going to clarify, I guess, or comment on something I said when we got started. I got confused. I thought this was episode 8.
Yeah.
I'm not even in this episode, so I thought,
yeah.
Why am I here? I'm not.
Well, I know, but that's why I want to talk about your scenes, and I hope you're going to come back next time.
I got confused. Yeah, so it was episode 8 that I was really looking forward to
Oh
filming
man,
because
Oops.
I'm not even in this one.
Can you be here the next Friday?
Yeah, I should be. Yeah.
Okay, and we're gonna come up. Hang on, we got to go through this, but then I'm gonna bring up your scenes in the previous episodes because I want to hear you talk about them.
I'm sitting here thinking, wait a minute, this is what am I, an idiot? I don't know.
Oh, it's okay.
No,
It's
no,
been
no,
so
no.
long. It's been so long that like even I don't remember what happens in these scenes.
Yeah.
Every time I come these weekends to watch it, I'm like, oh wow, I forgot about all this.
Now, I remember with Under This Bridge, because the Under the Bridge has been an important part, and I remember Brennan hated Under the Bridge because as far as the camera angles and everything like that,
Poor Brennan.
Brennan hated having to film Under This Bridge.
We kept
then
switching back and forth between different sides to alter the look and stuff, and every time it's like, okay, where are we setting it up now?
And there wasn't a great place for anyone to actually,
Yeah.
sit down, especially the crew, with the microphone stands and everything like that. They just
Try not
wasn't
to
there.
like slide off and fall into the water.
Right. And then I remember, I enjoyed it because, that's where Steve is and we always set up Steve stuff. But then I got up one time and was talking to some people, just some, arbitrary people. I don't say random people because it wasn't random, but it's arbitrary people. I was talking to arbitrary people who were at a table not far from here. And they were like, what are you guys doing? And I was trying to explain what we were doing. And they were like, well, now be careful down there because they've told us about all of the snakes. And I was like, what? Oh my God, I haven't seen any of those. I really don't want to have to deal with like a rattlesnake or something under this bridge. Trey G says, Cthulhu Bob Lovely, well played, sir. And Trey G says, lovely. Kalanisti?
I don't know what that comment is.
I don't know what that is. We'll keep going.
Who are you?
I'm Acantha. You're Steve, right?
Yes?
I saw you get beaten up the other day. I brought you a Band-Aid.
You want to talk about the Band-Aid, Brianna?
It's like she doesn't quite know what a Band-Aid is because she's, well, again, we're not saying explicitly that she's from the past, but if she was from the past and had time traveled to this current day, it might be that there are a lot of things of the modern world that would be so delightful and fascinating to her that she wouldn't quite understand. But it's like, hey, the Band-Aid, it heals you. So here you go.
Oh, thank you.
How are you feeling?
Oh, and I took a beautiful picture of Mallory dressed up as Acantha that went out on my Instagram of her sitting there, like as I was looking at her. And it's just such an amazing picture. It looks like Acantha. It's amazing.
Not so good. I came out here to worship my Lord and Savior, Nyarlathotep, but now I'm just afraid I'm going to get eaten and die out here alone and starving.
I always use the derpiest, like so many of the derpiest takes of like things like that happening where he's in the middle of talking and then it falls. So anytime anything like that happens, it's just that made it into the final cut.
Right. I remember all of his ritual equipment falling down and stuff like that. I was like, well, just try to keep going, set it back up.
As he would.
Snakes in the Winter. Well,
it wasn't quite winter. It was
spring.
Yep.
It was spring.
Season 1 was filmed in the winter, but
yeah, and this was spring. Okay, so that's something from Discordianism. I'll have to look that up. I'm not an expert in Discord yet.
If I don't bring a substitute to the wicked women of the Black Goat, I'm done for.
Oh, I see. Now,
No,
she just moves on.
yeah, I love that reference to them. Right? Yeah, the wicked women of the Black Goat.
Yeah,
she knows who that is.
Also, what Brianna said, she's just like, oh, I see. Well, anyhow,
Yeah.
I'm sorry that you're going to get eaten, but
This is such a perfect encapsulation
on a
of her
happier
character.
note, yeah.
This whole scene just like completely summarizes her.
Steve, don't worry. There's nothing anyone can do to prevent that.
There's not?
No, and you shouldn't worry about things you can't change.
There's nothing I can do to keep from getting eaten?
Well, no, not the getting eaten part. That part's inevitable. But if you're hungry, I'd be happy to bring over some muffins next time.
It's
And
such
like-
a fantastic combination of being sweet, but also like reconciling with just apathetic to disaster, right?
Yeah.
Heather says, I have to say, Heath saying his Lord and Savior's name so perfectly when it's so hard to say is so impressive. Been meaning to make a point to compliment that. Oh, thank you. So yeah, we had thought about different pronunciations for that, but I had always, like, when I was writing Journey to the Tree of Sorrows and everything else, we'd always said Nyarlathotep. You could say Nyarlathotep. What? Now I'm confused which one I said.
You were saying Nyarlathotep.
Nyarlathotep. We had said Nyarlathotep, right? You could, right? Yeah, Nyarlathotep. You could say Nyarlathotep. Other people were saying that. That's highly controversial. But Nyarlathotep.
Do people actually have controversies over these things?
Oh yeah, there's controversy. There's
Fandoms.
controversy about how we said Dagon.
Yes,
and we even
too.
and we
Dagon.
played around with that on set, right? Yeah, yeah.
Dagon, yeah.
So Nyarlathotep was how I had always said that, but you could say Nyarlathotep. So hopefully, because of the cultists, we will say Nyarlathotep.
Yeah, we're the authorities here.
Right. I think this will change it. Inner Light says Nyarlathotep isn't really hard to say. Right. That's what I thought. It's just Nyarlathotep. Right.
when you break it down into syllables.
There's just a question of whether or not the Y is pronounced as a vowel or a consonant, depending on which version of the Necronomicon you are using. Oh,
Nyarlathotep.
Right. So wait, Ian, welcome, Ian. Now, Ian was with us for dinner and a board game. Ian, in fact, we're going to be playing some more. I'm going to be putting out some more of those episodes because I had taken some of them down. Ian is also a fellow board game designer. He's a friend of ours. Hey, Ian, so glad you're here. He says, I always thought it was Nyarlathotep.
Nyarlathotep.
Wait, what is that?
That's totally different.
What is that, a third pronunciation?
So many possibilities.
Nyarlathotep. But hey, yeah. Hey, Ian. Hey, Ian, I hope everything's going great. Good to see you. Thank you so much for being here.
Can I make a batch?
Oh, really?
Sure.
Well, that would be wonderful.
Okay, I'll try to bring them over before you're gone. Now, stay warm out here. I would hate for you to die of pneumonia before something else can kill you.
Okay.
He just kind of, and this also summarizes a lot about him because he's just kind of like completely moved on from being horrified that I can't avoid being eaten, and then muffins, okay, and now he's just like not thinking about the fact that he's about to die.
Well, she even says that. I hope before something else can kill you. And he's like, by this time, he's like, okay.
Right.
All right, this is it. I'm going to hide under the table. Then, when they come to drink their coffee, I will secretly pour.
I loved doing this scene.
Did you love doing every scene?
Well, I love doing every scene, but I love doing this scene because it was so focused on Steve. I mean, I'm the only character there at this point.
Oh, you're saying this particular moment, yes.
Yeah, this particular moment, because, this is the most close-up Steve scene. And so I wanted to get it right, And so, hey, Linda is here. Linda, welcome. Says hi all. Welcome, Linda. So glad to have you. Inner Light says it's the Necronomicon from the 70s that has you pronounce the Y as a consonant. So it starts as Naya, a nasal intonation. This is some serious, this is actually deeper than I got into the pronunciation of them. Thank you. And then Heather says, OMG, this scene had me laughing so hard. This scene, the whole scene, this particular scene where I'm just focused up here was one of my favorite scenes, but then also what's about to happen was also one of those.
When we were watching it earlier, Heath was laughing. Were you about to say, Tom?
I'm just going to say, beyond any of that, I just like that he has the Band-Aid on his face.
Like, what's it supposed to do exactly?
Yeah, but I mean, he does have it. He got beat up by a bunch of guys, but by God, he's got that Band-Aid on his face.
He's got a Band-Aid, so he's good to go.
And that's significant. It sure is. Left Spin says Acantha is saving Steve for later sacrifice. Well, if you think about it in the background, right? Yeah, if you think about it in the background, what is Acantha and Shay's play? What's going on there? Ian says, too bad you can't tie in some couple of notes under. Too bad you couldn't tie in some notes of tie in some couple of notes of the chili peppers under the bridge during that last scene somehow, like an Easter egg, like some faint distant radio or something. That would have been cool. I'm anti red hot chili peppers. Is that what we're talking about here? But
Yes.
I know a lot of people like them, so that would have been one of those things.
This powder into their cups. They'll fall fast asleep, and I'll take them to the cult of Shub. And then I'll be free.
This was also one of Steve's most cartoon villain moments. I mean,
Yes.
arguably what the sign is, but this whole scene is also most cartoon villain.
Oh,
We got to keep an eye out. Steve
This
could
of
be
course
anywhere.
this took so many takes too. So you're like thinking about all the reset that we did. Just want you all to appreciate that.
There were so many takes here, and there were so many resets because we had to
We
wash
rehearsed
away.
it first too, but still, yeah.
We rehearsed it, but it still took so many takes. And after every take, we would have to wash away all of the powdered sugar.
Yeah.
And every that in order to reset it so that it
It was
didn't,
not easy.
there wasn't powder everywhere. Trey says he should have just powdered the donuts.
No, see, you're thinking more smartly than he would. See,
Why
he's
didn't
literally-
Steve think of that?
Because he's Steve.
Hey, have you seen Mike lately?
No, not since he got arrested. He's probably in prison.
Oh my gosh. Or maybe he's just at home?
Either at home or doing hard time in the big house.
Yeah. Oh, dude, did I tell you we might have a gig?
No, that's great, man.
Yeah, dude, so some guys heard us playing and now we might have a gig at Cracker Barrel.
Cracker, I love that place. Your music is gonna fit.
It's just so much. It's just the amount is pretty absurd.
Yeah, and there was one take where there was much more.
Yeah, that one, you loved that one so much. There was something about it that didn't work, but I can't remember.
I don't
what it
remember
was.
what about it that wasn't work, but there was one.
You were
take
like,
where
please use that one. And yeah, no.
there was some take where I put out the powder and it just covered them, especially Dave in the black.
You could see him all over his sleeve, and it was just ridiculous that he wouldn't have noticed.
Right. They got
Yeah.
covered by it, and they were still playing it like they didn't notice, even though they themselves were covered with white powder. Austin, well, glad to have you back. Welcome. Welcome back, Austin. And Interlight says so too. Steve says, Steve would have just ate the donuts. Well, that's what
That's
exactly.
true.
Steve was trying to eat the donuts. Trey says, I'm curious to see what happens if a policeman you see covered in. I'm curious to see what happens if a policeman see you covered in powdered sugar. Well, I'm not sure.
Right in there.
Oh, dude, I appreciate it. This might be the big break we need, It's just, I need more exposure.
Have you thought about taking off your pants?
No? That would make me more exposed, though. Oh, and I'm trying to get an Olive Garden, too.
Oh, dude! Steve?
Do you remember what I looked like after this scene?
You looked covered in coffee, is what you looked like,
Right, because of the number of times we had to do this, the
and
number of times
covered
I
in
had,
sugar.
and I had sugar and coffee, because you can't see me right here, but I was covered.
I think there's a
sugar and
picture of you. Yeah,
There is a picture. It might be on my Instagram. If you look at my Instagram,
it might be.
yeah, that's where I am. If you scroll down, I bet you're going to find it, because I really wish that we had been able to pan back to me, because I looked like
You looked
I don't
messy.
know what. Yeah. I mean, I was just covered in coffee after multiple takes and covered in sugar after multiple takes. It was crazy. You could have Megan show up and arrest Steve. Well, yeah, where's Megan in this? Where's the police officer?
What are you doing under there? Were you trying to slip us some Mickey?
You're gonna pay for this, Steve. Just you wait. As soon as I learn this spell, you are done for.
Because I had run out from the table after that. I mean, I was running out from the table after that, but we weren't able to pan back with the camera.
You okay?
Cthulhu Bob says, lovely says, oh, Olive Garden moving up from Cracker Barrel. And also, some of these candles that Ben is working with right here are probably some of the candles that are behind me.
Yeah, probably.
What's for me, I find it interesting. It's subtle. You almost don't catch it because you're paying attention to, to Steve trying to dump the powder into the cups and all. But that line that Glenn says about when he says they're going to start, their band's got a gig at Cracker Barrel, and he says, "Oh, you're going to fit right in there." And it's just subtle. It's you almost don't catch it, but you're thinking, "Yeah, right. They're really going to fit in there." Yeah, those old folks are really going to love that music. Yeah,
and how much they don't understand. Oh, like why in the world would you fit in at Cracker Barrel?
But it's even it and then that this whole thing follows with this scene with him and the candles, because like how I just sit there and I think, how stupid is this guy?
To make those two, to make that comment and then do this.
One to make that comment and then to realize that these candles are all you have to do is turn them off.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Let's see. Trey asks, wonder if you could get a remote candle at the end of an episode when he is not looking, turn it on. Well, we'll talk more about that. We tried things like that. So we'll talk more about that in another episode. So hold that comment, Trey. The Commoner, welcome the Commoner, says, are there candles behind you also from season 1 with Mike and Rob's ritual? Yes, they are. Yes, they are. They definitely are. Good catch there.
The spell is a minor magical trick that novice spellcasters use for practice. You instantaneously light or snuff out a candle, a torch, or a small campfire. Range 10 feet.
Yet again.
Is,
previous comments.
Am I within 10 feet?
How much?
I love that scene. That's such a great still too. That is fantastic. We ought to put that as a D&D meme or something like that. Did your spell fail? Are you within 10 feet? There you go. 10 feet? Austin says, fun fact about those candles, do not keep them next to the exhaust fan of a laptop or they will actually melt. Oh,
sounds like a lesson learned from personal experience.
Experience, maybe? Yeah.
Abracadabra. Hocus pocus, fish bones, choke us.
That was something that a magician at a birthday party told me, like when I was 6.
So that's where you put it in.
Yeah, hocus pocus, fish bones, choke us. That was like, that. Inner Light says, or did you just spell fail? It's a picture of a tape measure. Yep. Or did your spell just fail? It's a picture of a tape measure. Could be. Could be.
It's not working. Can't even cast a practice spell right. How am I supposed to kill Steve with Phantasmal Killer? Can't do this without Rob.
That moment, there was a change that happened where that scene just felt so much different. And it was just the slight little thing, which was that I had him just put his head in his hands then. And it just like changed the tone so much. I love that as like a example of like sometimes a slight little difference in an action just makes something feel different. It makes it feel different for the actor. But yeah.
And the Commoner says, looking forward to the Cultist Hocus Pocus crossover. Hocus Pocus, fish bones, choke us. Yeah, they need to hire us for that.
That you all fear.
So this was the second Dave song.
Yes. So because we got sad there for a moment, but we're still ending the episode on a hopeful note.
And this was shot at about the same time.
Yeah,
the same time as the other one was shot. Yeah. The Commoner says the Sandersons and the witches in the show could have some fun adventures together. Probably so. Probably so.
We're the strange things that you hear. We're the unknowns, but one thing's clear. If you run into us, then you'll disappear.
And I think that actually, because we talked about in the previous behind the scenes that Sky was talking about how he created this, and he was intentionally creating this scene as something that, like, as Dave was potentially writing the theme song.
Yeah, exactly. And then I love how this goes. It flows perfectly into the closing credits. So
into the
yep.
exactly
on purpose, of course. that's how
on
that's
purpose.
How it's got. Yeah.
Right.
But
and Trey says the Hocus Pocus Fishbone Chocus could be the title of the sequel game after the ritual. Well, it could be. It could be. Right. So that leads us into that. So okay. So let me ask you, Tom. So we're over an hour here. Can you stay with us to talk about the previous episode that you were in?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Or do we want to do that next week? Can you stay with us, Brianna?
I can stay for a while.
Okay. Then let's talk then, and as particularly as the director's here and the actor, let's talk about that scene then. Because I already preloaded that episode so we can talk about that. Because I would love to do that.
Are we gonna do the are we looking at the scene after Rob has disappeared?
Because there are two.
Right.
There are two
because there were two. I also had the branding scene.
Oh, do you want to bring up that?
Do you have a preference between them?
What do you want to do?
No.
Hey, I'm always good to talk about myself. So whatever you want to.
Okay, wait a minute. Hold on. Which one was the branding one? Was that episode 2?
That was maybe.
I believe that might have been 2. But like I said, I thought this was 8. So
right.
What do I know?
Well, why don't you just do the one that you have pulled up, Heath?
Oh no, it is 2. Okay, I can bring it up right here. Okay. So now we can do both. So now I have both prepped. Hang on. What were you saying, Brianna?
I can stay up. I don't want to stay up for long.
Okay, I won't talk much. It'll be quick.
Okay.
There's some.
Let's do them.
Okay, let's do them, and then be back with us for the next episode too, Tom, if you will.
I'll be here next Friday.
Okay, so here is this episode. This is the first episode. This is when you walk in. I'm going to cut out for a second, but I'll leave you to discuss.
Is the gate.
So, right. So here we go.
Okay. Yogg-Sothoth.
I'm still with you in audio.
Yogg-Sothoth is the gate. Ask her. Yes? Oh. Hey, Dad.
Hey, son. Can I sit down?
Yeah. Sure.
You've been acting a little weird.
You gotta pause
lately.
it for us.
No, I'm
you
pausing.
okay?
I'm pausing it. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
Because I'm gonna ask you about, because like you two had a relationship. You guys knew each other previously outside of this. How did that play in for you?
Yeah. So that's how I ended up with this part, because Peter and I had done some live theater together, and he sends me and I am old enough to be his dad. And he said, and we had kind of that kind of a really good relationship. And he sends me this message. He says, I'm involved in this thing. We got to replace somebody for season 2. I think you should audition. And, it went from there. And so this scene was our first scene together, and it was easy to play. And Peter is, he's very serious about his role. I mean, maybe I'm not, I was like standing outside the door. I'm like, okay, let's go. And he's sitting there like, I gotta get into my character.
Yeah, he has to get into the right mindset.
And I was like, man, let's go. So
you two have different personalities on set for sure.
Probably shows he's he comes across much more anyhow. So it was a good experience. Yeah, Peter's great. I like him.
Yeah, I'm so grateful to him for reaching out to you. I mean, he when he found out that we needed a new person, he took it on himself. He was like, all right, I'm gonna go message all these people that I know. And he got me a bunch of connections and people to audition, and so.
Yeah,
let me just say one other thing.
Yeah,
because I don't want to take up a lot of time because you can't stay long.
No.
I like Dad's,
take your time.
Dad's line is, "You've been acting kind of strange lately." Above and beyond the fact that you're in a cult.
Right. Strange for yourself. Strange for you.
Yeah.
Well, kind of recall with that line, there's some line, I Love Lucy from decades and decades ago, when, Ricky, Lucy's husband, asks, was it Fred, the neighbor, like, has Lucy been acting strange lately?
Yeah.
And Fred's like, strange for normal people or strange for Lucy? And so I feel like that's the kind of energy that we've got here. Like, you've been acting strange lately, like strange for you, not like strange for normal people, because strange for normal people is like what you act like. So
What happened?
Well, Rob really wanted to commit himself fully to Cthulhu, and so we did a ritual, and I branded him.
Everyone was commenting last time. They're like, "That's not the reaction I thought he was going to have."
Yeah. I went back and watched the last time you guys did this. I've been watching the episodes and the commentary, and you said that so many people were like, "Wait, that's not the reaction we expected." It's right. Like and it should. Well, it's a real weird dynamic there, because it's almost like the dad who's like, you went out for the football team? I didn't know you had it. I didn't think you had it. right. You auditioned for something in the theater. I didn't think you branded a guy. Wow. That's great. I'm so proud.
Austin says, wow, looks both shocked and proud. Right? Exactly. Right.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Which is a direction Brianna and I have talked about that in other commentary episodes, that the dad, which was of course not the same actor, it was a different actor who played dad, but dad was a very minor part in the first episode, but we had a first season, we had an arc for him. And so this is what we go into here with what you're playing is not probably what you were expecting with dad in episode 1. It was hinted at, but it wasn't fully exposed yet.
I didn't think you had it in you, son. But do you think this branding might have anything to do with why Rob is upset? Yeah.
No.
Because you put hot iron against his face.
And he's just like, I hadn't considered that at all.
Yeah, maybe.
It's a good thing he had his dad to talk to.
But I love that when dad says that, now wait a minute, do you think this could have anything to do with that? And Mike's immediate response is, no, man. That's like, no, man, that couldn't possibly be.
Well, I mean, I don't think so. He really loves it.
Did you apply any topical ointment or give him any kind of pain relief after you branded him?
No.
Oh, when you brand someone, come on.
See, and Les Ben says, Mike has a distinct lack of branding
aftercare. Love that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And which makes if you look at season 1, like what happened there, like we were all always like, man, God, he would be in so much pain if that just happened to him. But there's consequence.
Austin says, sounds like dad has experience. Just wait. Just wait.
Exactly. Les Ben asks, did you cuddle him?
You would think Mike would know these things, right?
Yeah. Like that, you've got to treat it, and you've got to give them something for the pain. He was probably in shock.
Whoa. I had no idea.
That's probably it, son.
Huh. Hey, how do you know so much about branding?
Oh, I branded a lot of my friends back in the day. That is probably my favorite line of season 2 that I got to say. That's probably my favorite line. Oh, I branded a lot of my friends back in the day. Yeah.
That is exactly the moment when you find out that dad may not be what he seems.
That's
right. Exactly.
Right. When he says that.
And I like football team, ritual branding, typical high school stuff. I like that, like we were talking about mom who plays everything straight. And then she drops in that line about you know, oh, the worst part is his scholarship. And it's like dad plays everything straight as well, but there's so much more absurdity in his. I think, at least that's the way I read dad and felt about him when we started this, is that
and there's a potential explanation here too about why mom is so disturbed by her son's involvement in the cult things. It's because she knows it's something that her husband left behind, you know, a long time ago, and so that's like the worst thing to be coming back, you know. That's always like there, this threat.
Right. Yes. What
then it just gets better. The next line just gets better.
Here we go then.
You did?
Oh yeah. We used to have a good time. Oh yeah. You betcha. Yeah.
Oh, now this is a good point. Access I thought Tom and Heath were related for some reason, and you actually were not. Yeah, our last names were both Robinson, but yeah, as far as I'm aware, no relation. Yeah, this. Austin says next season we'll find out mom was the last to be branded. Who knows? Hopefully, we need to do a season
by dad.
Branded by dad.
The last one gives new meaning to the.
That's what the handcuffs are for.
That's what I was about to say. New meaning to that.
Oh my God.
Okay. So that was that. Then my other scene is after Rob disappears.
Okay.
Very different.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, so let's go to that one then. So yeah, that was the end of that one. So let me take that one down just a second. And now, so the other episode, the next episode, right, when he disappears.
Yes.
Okay, so this is now I'm really interested to know more about. So we just starting to start at the beginning here, because I would really like to hear your commentary with the director on this, because this was a deeply emotional scene, and you know,
one of the few that we had.
Well, you know, because Brianna and I have talked about in other previous episodes, as far as the commentary goes, the up and down of the emotion that this season has that the previous season did not, you know, but we incorporated greater emotional range into this season. And it's especially present in what you are in here in this scene. So, I would love to talk about that.
Yeah.
Something is seriously wrong with Mike. I think something happened to his fish friend.
And she's so serious.
Right. Always.
I mean, even when she says something silly.
Yeah. Fish friend. His fish friend. But she's just, that's what he is. His fish friend.
And of course, there's Rob's horn, which we talked about previously. Yeah. Very significant here.
I think this scene is an example. I was saying you two kind of had different personalities on set where like he really needed to like get into the scene. You were just like being able to snap right in and out of it. Just, people have different styles.
And I think I remember being outside of the room for this. I remember I was just sitting outside the room, managing things outside. While Brianna and of course Brennan was also in the room because he was running the camera. But you know, you were in there with Brennan and then the actors and managing this.
Mike, can I come in?
I guess.
So at that point, you're already in.
Yeah.
I guess.
You are already here. So.
You want to talk?
It's Rob. He's gone. He went to be with the deep ones under the waves.
It wasn't your fault. There's nothing that you...
See, even though it's a sad... See, there's... Both of you have, like, a funny line in here. So it's like this... It never leaves the realm of comedy.
Yeah.
You know, he went to be with the deep ones under the waves. Like, that's a ridiculous thing to say.
I will comment, too. Yeah. Just because that's maybe the only... If for no other reason, just this is the only reason to watch this scene is to say this is... Go back again to our we just see things that Peter and I just came at it from two different directions. Because I remember I was ready to go, and he's just sitting on the bed, getting himself into this whole,
yeah.
Like at one point, to be honest, at one point I thought he was literally going to cry.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, come on, dude, let's go. Let's get this.
Yeah,
get this over with. Let's shoot this because I'm,
I think you were like cracking jokes, and he was like not having it.
Yeah, he was not. Yeah,
Yeah.
He didn't think that. Yeah, he didn't think it was,
He was
funny.
not wanting.
And I think even I kind of even wanted to, in my mind, I wanted to play the part a little more, not so serious. And our eminent director, she said, no, I really want you to be, just bring it down, be a little more serious, be a little more, and I'm thankful for that because it worked out really well. I think the scene works really well. And I think, good. It's just good too that Peter and I knew each other beforehand.
Yeah, because it's important. I mean, a lot of this is important for the characters because these two, like the fact that you two are able to have a bond here. Obviously, the scene before is what starts that, but this is also just like for the arc moving forward. It's important.
Yeah, the first scene there kind of lets Mike in on the fact that, Dad played high school football too,
right.
Dad was also in a cult. He branded people. And then now we get this more just continue to bond. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
They're
like they're on the level of allies now, you might say.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's important.
Yeah.
Inner Light asks a question about do you want to look up If I Were a Deep One? I was just doing that. I don't know if we can play it or not. We'll see. Possibly. Yeah. We'll see, because I don't know what I can play here. Let's continue here.
Could have done.
I don't know how I'm going to go on without him.
I know.
That was, it's humorous, but that was really touching. I mean, I love that scene in here.
Yeah. And we played that multiple ways too. We in terms of the level of emotion for him.
We did. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's free now.
He's swimming with the fishes. And I remember at one point I suggested, what if at this point I kind of look at the camera and kind of
we had some takes like that.
Yeah. Like almost
and I liked that.
Breaking the third wall and saying, do you believe I'm having to console him over this? But I'm glad we didn't, because this works much better.
Right. This one was the one that worked the most, but that was a fun way to do it too.
See, Trey hits it. So Godfather. See, that was what I was writing, because I think that line, because Brianna and I have actually talked a lot about the Godfather in the last couple of months, but the swimming with the fishes.
It's Luca Brasi.
Yep.
Right. That's a really like evil kind of line. That means that whatever. But in this context, it's intended so genuinely. That's exactly what you would want. That he's swimming with the fishes, which is exactly
which is like what he imagines. Like what Rob would imagine himself to do. Literally swimming.
Yeah. Like if you've never seen it's a really old Don Knotts movie, The Incredible Mr. Limpet, where it's one of the first movies that was live action and animation combined. And Don Knotts falls into the water, and when he does, he becomes a fish. And then it goes from live action to animation, and it's
so
this
familiar.
fish, and he's just swimming around. It's old, it's goofy, but
that makes me feel like I saw that as a kid or something. That's like triggering some half memory, but interesting.
So, and I think that's it. I think that's all.
Yeah, that's it. That's the end of that scene.
Yeah.
Oh, is it? All right.
Yeah.
So, all right. So we've caught up with Dad.
I'm so glad we got to have the go over those scenes with you.
I am too.
I've got to call that boy's parents.
And this is such a great contrast to that, right?
Yeah.
She's reacting
oh my God!
Normal.
Right, she has that reaction.
It's like Dad doesn't even think about, well, we need to call his parents. We need to send out he's gone off to be with the deep ones.
So that just solidifies too, like how similar those two are. Those two characters.
And afterwards, Brennan said, he goes, "Oh, I got some really good shots of the two of them together." And it was like Heath said, it was just the four of us, and I guess Dax was in there holding the microphone boom.
Yeah.
So it was just the four of us or five of us, and so it was a good experience. It was really cool. I just hope folks enjoyed it, and I'll be back next Friday to talk about the next episode, but I'll go ahead and say
spoilers. Dad's in it.
Yes, there are spoilers. But I will say, just since this is my first time to be live on here with you, it's just how much I appreciate Heath and Brianna and the opportunity to do this show. It was great. It's a great experience. I look forward to when we finally get season 3 back on the rails. So
I hope we're able to do season 3 soon.
Good crew, good cast, great script. So I appreciate it.
Thank you. I really appreciate you saying that. I really want to do season 3, and we gotta keep moving forward here. I really want to do that.
Oh,
we've got
the scripts
lots
are great.
The scripts for season 3 are already written. Yeah, the scripts there, and they're great. They're great.
We say as the writers, they're great.
I know, as the writers of the scripts, we're like,
but we worked hard on them.
Yes, we did. So Linda, thank you. Love that movie. Trey says, I remember that one, Thomas. That and Private Eyes, right? Lots of things going on. Trey saying Private Eyes equals Don Knotts and Tim Conway. I cannot find it anywhere. All right. So, no, thank you. I appreciate your staying around, both of you staying around a little bit extra so we could talk about that, because I really wanted to. I'm so glad that I got that commentary on live stream. I'll probably clip that and also put that out. So thank you both, Brianna, director, and Tom as the actor, for staying around for that.
Thanks.
And I really look forward to next Friday. We'll do exactly the same thing. We'll move on to the next episode.
Next Friday is a good one. That's
it's a good one.
It's an episode. It is an episode for sure.
I'm going to go ahead and take off. Then.
Right.
Okay.
So if you need to cut out, we're going to do the drawing, and then we're going to do the wide down. If you need to go ahead and cut out, that's fine. That's fine.
Thanks.
We'll see you next week. I'll see you next Friday.
Yeah.
See you next Friday.
Bye, Brianna. See ya.
Okay.
See ya.
Thank you so much for being here, Brianna.
Yeah. Thanks for having me yet again.
And I'm so glad that Tom was here, and we'll see Tom again next week. And
yeah,
maybe
I hope we can get more people. Yeah,
and maybe we'll get some more people too. I emailed them, so we are closing in. It'll be Thanksgiving weekend, but we'll still be here. We'll be here next week for the next episode. All right.